Imagine a world where the very agency, designed to protect you in times of disaster, becomes the harbinger of your doom. This is the chilling premise behind the FEMA camps conspiracy theory. According to its believers, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, is not just about disaster relief. Instead, they claim it's a shadowy force waiting to impose martial law, ready to corral unsuspecting citizens into concentration camps in the wake of a national crisis. The theory suggests these camps are not just for shelter, but for sinister purposes, ranging from imprisonment to extermination, all under the guise of a new world order. This fear isn't new. It traces back to the late 1970s, gaining traction alongside the internet's rise. The theory's roots are nourished by historical precedents, like the internment of Japanese Americans during World War II, and plans like Rex 84, which proposed mass detentions in the 1980s. These shadows of history linger in the minds of conspiracy theorists, fueling the belief that the government could, at any moment, turn against its people. Proponents of the theory often point to innocuous government actions, like mail delivery stickers or military exercises, as evidence of a looming takeover. Despite repeated debunking by media outlets and FEMA itself, the theory persists, woven into larger narratives of governmental overreach and totalitarian control. It has even seeped into popular culture, with movies and video games depicting FEMA as a malevolent force. Whether it's a product of paranoia or a reflection of deep-seated distrust in government, the FEMA camps conspiracy remains a chilling tale of fear and suspicion in modern.
Look down here in the bottom.
It does.
Yes, sir, it does.
The toilets in them. Those are for people.
Yeah, those are for people.
They've got toilets.
How many are there, bro?
I don't know.
To ghost and psychic powers, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. Here are the facts. The Federal Emergency Management Agency was created in 1976 and charged with handling domestic emergencies. When most people think of FEMA, they think of hurricanes, earthquakes, tornadoes, and floods. Since its inception, FEMA has consistently saved American lives. Like the Boy Scouts, FEMA aims to be prepared. They provide logistical support, food, clothing, and other services in emergency situations. The agency has also built housing facilities in locations across the world. To the mainstream media, this is just another step in preparing for catastrophes. But to others, it's something much worse. Here's where it gets crazy. According to broadcaster Alex Jones, FEMA is a front for a secret government, and the housing locations will actually serve as quarantine centers or internment camps. This is not an unfounded fear. After all, during World War II, the US forced over 100,000 Japanese Americans into government camps for the duration of the conflict. And civil unrest could be considered a domestic emergency. How would this insurrection occur? Theorists cite any number of possible causes, from the establishment of a one-world government to a national pandemic. Some believe a global elite of bankers and aristocrats may artificially create a disaster to trigger a massive incarceration of US citizens who object to the plan, whatever that plan might be. Fringe researcher Mary Louise alleges that FEMA keeps a red list and a blue list, where people on the blue list will be shipped to camps for quarantine or re-education, while those on the red list will be executed. Skeptics rightly point out that this conspiracy requires an amazing, even implausible, level of organization. Also, a large natural disaster can displace hundreds of thousands of people, so building temporary housing in advance seems like a good idea. Yet there's another angle here. The US already holds the world's largest prison population, with over 2 million people incarcerated. Most of the people who believe that FEMA is a cover for a mass imprisonment also believe in the Illuminati, Freemasons, or satanic conspiracies. Sometimes they believe in all three. The outlandish nature of some theories may make them hard to swallow. Yet the facts are foreboding, even to skeptics. The federal government has indeed constructed massive housing facilities across the United States, from Oakdale, California to Atlanta, Georgia. Executive orders have given FEMA and other agencies increasingly broad emergency powers, even allowing the U.S. Army and Marine Corps to perform domestic operations. Theorists like Dr. John Coleman allege the focus of FEMA has steadily moved away from natural disasters to concentrate on the management of a hypothetically unruly populace. In 2003, FEMA was incorporated into the Department of Homeland Security. To most Americans, this is just another game of bureaucratic musical chairs. However, it makes perfect sense to conspiracy theorists. Before you reject this theory, take a look at the laws surrounding the Constitution, FEMA, Homeland Security, and other related agencies. Pay close attention to Rex 84, the Patriot Act extensions, Operation Garden Plot, and the executive orders that created FEMA. Conspiracy theorists think these documents are only the tip of the iceberg. The rest, for now, is stuff they don't want you to know.
Not too long ago, I talked with Dale Bohannon, whom I've known since, I guess, the mid-1980s. And he told me something very interesting that he found back in the fall of 2000 while he was on a business trip. Listen to this, folks.
I was pulled to the side road, which was a new cut gravel dirt road in front of a business, a builder supply business, actually top-notch builder supply in Madison, Georgia. To my right, this was previously was a soybean field, and this little new cut road divided this field, and the right side of the road was filled with which I thought was portable toilets. I never looked at them that close. Same in color, maybe black, but which was an odd color. And I was sitting there going over my notes, and a van pulled alongside of me that turned out to be the property owner. And he greeted me, and he was by himself, and so we had a good little dialogue there, and I asked him about the field of black boxes. What were they? Because I'd never seen anything like that, and his statement was that if he told me, I would be one of few people in Madison, Georgia that knew about them. And he says they're disposable coffins, I believe he told me. And he says there's 100 at that time. He said there was 125,000 there. And they were stacked, he told me, 15 high. I asked him who owned them, and he stated that the CDC owned them and that they were leasing his land for storage. And he said his brother worked with the CDC in Atlanta and had been asked by the CDC to do a 3-year extension to place temporary morgues all across the nation.
So in January of this year, 2005, we decided to drive to beautiful Madison, Georgia and take a look for ourselves. It was on a Sunday and no one was around, with the exception of this one pickup truck that was coming out the narrow road that we were going in on next to this field. We flagged down the pickup truck, and it was providential that the driver of this pickup truck turned out to be the son of the man that owned this field. So naturally, we started asking him questions. And he told us that Not long ago, there had been as many as 500,000 of these grave liners or disposable coffins. We asked him for permission if we could look around, and he said yes, so we did.
We're just getting an idea for the size of these boxes. What could these boxes be used for? Well, they're called casket liners. And that's an interesting term, isn't it? It's a casket liner. When I first heard the term casket liner, I thought perhaps a lining for a casket. But this is too big to be on the inside of a casket. So certainly this could be used as a casket. This is an inexpensive casket. And you can see the size here. There's lots of room. I think my friends here, we could all probably get inside, and it might be a little cozy, but we'd fit just fine. Which tells me that these liners can be used for more than just one. And one more time, what kind of liners are these?
Casket liners.
These are casket liners.
That's what the man said.
That's what the man told us. And we're told that there are about, well, there were about 500,000 out here.
Later, as I went back to my home office, I spoke of it there, and of course people usually don't want to hear too much about this kind of thing. So it's never been mentioned, publicly, except just here and there, because most, like I said, the reaction I got, people didn't want to know about it, the few people that I spoke to, and so I just dropped it. And till I went to a luncheon, a fundraiser for Representative Saxby Chambliss. He was running for his second term for the U.S. House of Representatives. And it was a crowd, probably 100, maybe 150. It was congressmen, senators, state senators, and mayors. There was one table we probably had 2 3-star generals and a couple of 1-star with their spouses. So it was a real high-powered meeting. But the keynote speaker was a congressman, and I don't remember his name. He'd just been in the House for a long time, and he was the chairman of the Armed Services Committee. And so he just spoke in behalf of Representative Chambliss and the importance of having him on board to be reelected due to our threats. But it had to do with the nuclear devices that was missing from the old Soviet Union and that had gotten into terrorist hands. And it was, the emphasis was on the critical state that we face in this country, and he said we could lose tens of millions of people in the next decade, and he used those terms, due to a nuclear strike on U.S. soil. And I was sitting there, and it became very clear to me that that could very well explain why just weeks, could be 2 to 3 weeks prior to that meeting, that I had stumbled upon these, at that time, 125,000 disposable liners or caskets or coffins or whatever they could be termed as in that soybean field in Madison, Georgia.
Did you catch what he said, friends? At this high-powered meeting, it was in Perry, Georgia, near Robins Air Force Base, the largest employer in the state of Georgia, Robins Air Force Base. The chairman of the Armed Services Committee was the keynote speaker. The chairman of the Armed Services Committee, whoever that may be, used to be Sam Nunn of Georgia, from the district I was born and raised in. Whoever that chairman is generally one of the most powerful men in Washington. And I can't remember the chairman's name at that time myself, but he said, this was in the year 2000, I believe, that in the next 10 years, possibly due to nuclear strikes, tens of millions of people could lose their lives. And we've just read what our prophet said. Now, what we've just seen is one United States city outside, this is Atlanta, it has a metropolitan population area of roughly 4 million people. So this is one field outside of one U.S. city, and the brother of the man that owns this field, that the government is leasing this field from to store these disposable coffins. This brother was given 3 years to set up temporary morgues around the country. Now, we found the website that we think these disposable coffins were made at, and we noticed that the lids that they're advertising on the website were rounded. But the lids, hundreds of thousands of lids there, the lids we found, folks, were flat, and they were reinforced. You know what that could mean? You can stack them on top of each other. That's a lot neater to stack them in disposable coffins than what we saw after the tsunami, when we would see bulldozers digging holes and taking bodies and pushing bodies into holes. America can stomach this much better.
This is Acts chapter 14, verse 22, and it reads, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. All right, so hey, first and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakah Kodesh. I want to give double honors to the other apostles of Great Millstone that teach and rule well. Peace and salutations to the elect that are scattered abroad in four winds of earth, out there in the highways and hedges, and pushing his truth and sincerity. Shalom. All right, hold on. Let me turn this thing off real quick because it's a bit loud. So yeah, man, you know, the reason why I brought out the scriptures because the videos that we have just seen, all right, because of the times that we're about to be facing is a time that this earth has not seen before, you know, trials and tribulations, man, trials and tribulations, you know, being in prison, you know, as videos you saw, the FEMA camps, the red and the blue list, all right. And we make these videos to exhort, to strengthen you in the faith, man, that you continue to endure all the way to the end. And as the scriptures say, the same shall be saved. You know, referring to what Matthew 24 and 13, right? We have to endure to the end, and then we're going to be saved, right? And even through death, you know, our works are going to follow us. And of course, as the scriptures talk about how we shall rise with the Lord first, you know. So, you know, we got to continue to be faithful unto Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai no matter what. And that's even if you're facing death, all right? You know, you shouldn't be afraid of that man that can only kill you one time, but of Yahweh, our power, okay? That's who we really need to be afraid of, you know, that fear. And that fear is going to keep us on that straight and narrow path, not looking to the left, not looking to the right, but being single-eyed, looking towards the kingdom, man. All right? Looking towards our power, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, to come deliver us, man. Okay? Now, you know, concerning these false prophets, man, that do not prepare you for these times that are to come, man. You know, this is something for you, you know, concerning these other camps. You know, we call it ABC camps. You know, IUIC, ISUPK, GOCC, HOI, and, you know, these other guys, you know, that are also later on came into the picture, you know, being what? False prophets, you know, prophesying the things, not even they're giving you false visions, man, because they do not know the Lord, and they come with other intentions, you know. So This is Ezekiel chapter 13, verse 1, and it reads, and the word of the Lord Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the prophets of Israel that prophesy, and say thou unto them that prophesy out of their own hearts, hear ye the words of the Lord Yahweh. All right, so hear these words for you false prophets, like Captain Tasariak, General Pork Barrel, Johanna, right? Nathaniel, call yourself Bishop, right? Sabak, okay, that are not, warning about the MOTB for what really it is, because you're afraid of losing your congregation, your own pride, talking about building a community. Meanwhile, all these things are about to be thrown down. The Lord made it very clear that everything that you see going on right now about to be thrown the fuck down. But you guys out here making the Lord's house a house of merchandise, man. Okay? And prophesying out of your own heart, meaning your own mind. You just talking shit out of your ass, man. Not according to scriptures, but according to what you have. All right? Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, woe unto the foolish prophets, and you all are foolish prophets, man. You're not warning them about the things like concerning what? FEMA camps, the MOTB, famine, right? The sword. You have Bishop Nathaniel, he was with this man from Jamaica, I believe, Benjamite, talking about there ain't going to be no Jacob's trouble. Well, that man pulled out Daniel chapter 12. He said, what does that mean? Daniel 12 and 1. What does that mean? Right? Being confounded, man, because he's a deceiver, man. Right? So those that are going to get destroyed, right, as the scriptures say, the deceived and the deceivers are his. You were destined to be destroyed, man. Woe unto the foolish prophets, because you got blood on your hands, man. Because when that time comes and you and your congregation get put to death, man, get deleted, that blood is going to be upon your hand. And you're going to have to answer for that. Okay? You're going to have to answer for that. Okay? Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, woe unto the foolish prophets, woe going into destruction, but also meaning what? Mourning and lamentations. Because guess what? You ain't going to have that protection. Because you have not abided in the words of Yahweh Bashim Shah, but out of your own heart, out of your own feelings. Like Captain Tasariak, he got offended because what? How the elder apostles were talking about these fucking females, man. Meanwhile, these females are bugged out of their fucking mind. They're out of order, okay? Got a big mouth, very treacherous, but yet you want to be a Captain Save-A-Ho. That's really what the title, should be. But because you learn from the elder apostle to, a great millstone, all right? You climb through the ranks through IUSCPK, the scriptures say that, knowledge puffeth up, and you puff the fuck up. You're like a puffer fish, an unclean fish, man. Okay? Speaking out of your ass. And yes, you are foolish, because all you are about is debate with your cash apps and all this other shit. And now he calls himself Elder, what is his name? I just had the name. Sonnetter, Elder Sonnetter. He confounded your ass using the scriptures, man. Okay? You looking foolish as hell. Dumb as hell. You ain't spiritual, but fucking carnal, man. An embarrassment. Even brothers that are, young and great millstone can confound your ass just by using simple scriptures, basics, man. The milk scriptures. To confound all that bullshit you continue to spew out of your mouth, man. All right? Through your little lying-ass teeth, man. All right? That follow their own spirit and have seen nothing, right? And y'all, and that's a worldly trait, man. Because it says here, because you do follow your, covering, but not of the Lord, man. right? It says here, Isaiah 30:1, woe to the rebellious children. And you foolish prophets, y'all fit in this category. Saith the Lord Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me. You take counsel of men. You don't apply these scriptures for counsel. And that covering with a covering, but not of my spirit, you see, that they may add sin to sin, which is what? Iniquity. Y'all are workers of iniquity, man. That's why when the Lord said, when he cometh, you're going to say, Lord, Lord, haven't we, driven out devils, da, 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 da. The Lord going to turn around. I never knew thee, ye workers of iniquity, man. Because you speak out of your own heart. You don't speak the words of Yahweh Bashim Shai, man. Okay, you don't speak the words of Yahweh. Okay? Ezekiel 13:3, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, woe unto the foolish prophets that follow their own spirit, right? That they may what? Add sin to sin, and have seen nothing, right? Because you don't see the visions that are written in your scriptures. You don't see the visions that are going on and to be able to measure the times diligently within itself, knowing the times that we're in. That's why the Lord said, ye hypocrites, you're able to discern the skies to know when it's going to rain, but you can't discern the times that you're in, right? O Israel, thy prophets are like foxes in the desert. Okay? Ye have not gone up into the gaps, neither made up the hedge for the house of Israel to stand in the battle in the day of the Lord. You ain't setting up protection for the brethren, man. You ain't setting up, that hedge of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, that protection, by what? The Spirit of the Lord, man, prophesying and warning our people of the things are to come, so they may prepare in these last days. You ain't doing that. You ain't warning them about the mark of the beast, man. You ain't warning about Jacob's trouble. You ain't warning about the famine that is to come. You ain't warning about the things that are going on that's leading up to it. You ain't leading up. You ain't telling them about the times of what that sword being sent, man. But Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, going to come down having great wrath because he knows that he had but a short time. You ain't warning them about that. You just talking out of your fucking ass that want to be right in the sight of men, want to be glorified in the sight of men. That's all you want to have. This is not about you. None of you foolish prophets, or even us alone. This is about Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, man. That's what this is about. This is about the words of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. This is what it's about, man. Okay? First of all, we went off. Okay? This is not our rest. We got to continue to fight in good faith to continue therein by what? Abiding in the words of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. This is our blueprint. We got the script. We need to follow it. But you dudes come out here with, with your own intentions, your own this and that, and you're not wondering about the things that are to come. How family members are going to betray one another. Friends are going to betray one another. Kin folks, let's get it real quick. Hold on. So I can get it backwards. This is Luke chapter 21, verse 15. For I will give you a mouth and wisdom. Let me read it again. For I will give you a mouth and wisdom. The Lord will. See, you false prophets, you speak out of your own heart, man, your own mind, which all your adversaries shall not be able to gainsay nor resist. Okay? Which is the truth. And that's why Great Millstone is hated, one of the most hated camp out there, man. Because we come with the 100% truth of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, man. Right? And ye shall be betrayed both by parents and brethren and kinfolks and friends And some of you shall they cause to be put to death. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. So, where are y'all warning our people? Those that need to hear this word, the elect, where are you out there teaching them about this, man? That there's going to be a betrayal at an all-time high, Jacob's trouble. The time where famine is going to, what's going to lead to people betraying one another so bad? The famine, right? The sword, the pestilence of great tribulation, referring to what? Second Ezra chapter, I think 15 and 19 or 20. Okay? Because of what? The lack of bread. You know, your own neighbor is going to be robbing you. These are the times that we're coming into. We're coming into perilous times. Second Timothy chapter 3 verse 1. In the last days there shall come perilous times. And then when you read below it, it gives you the characteristics, man. Traitors, high-minded, lovers of pleasures than lovers of the Most High. Okay? Unthankful, disobedient to parents, right? Lovers of themselves, traitors, false accusers, right? The time of Jacob's trouble, and y'all ain't teaching them about this. Y'all ain't teaching them about how the FEMA camp gonna come around, and you're gonna have people that are gonna do whatever it takes to stay out of that, stay out of trouble, and look good in the eyes of Esau, okay, in these times that are to come, so that they may survive. They're gonna be a dog-eat-dog world. You ain't warning them about that. You ain't warning them about how they're gonna come after us and throw us in FEMA camps. You ain't teaching them this. Only thing you teaching is out of your own heart about prosperity, how to live off grid, all this other shit, okay? How to grow food, which is nothing wrong with growing food, but still at the same time, what is this ministry about, man? You know? Because this is what it says we ought to do. Acts 14 and 22. Confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith. Why? Because, you know, when you come in this thing of ours, you're going to catch hell. And that we must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of Yahweh B'Shem Shai. Through much. So we're going to be snatched up. We're going to be locked away. Why aren't y'all teaching this, man? That brothers may continue in the faith, man. That they may endure all the way to the end and be saved through the Spirit and the power of Yahweh B'Shem Shai. Why ain't you setting up that protection? That's supposed to be our job. But you out here, you know, with your own intentions, man. This is Revelation chapter 2, verse 10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Because we're going to be, you know, beaten, tortured. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison. And, you know, it's not some guy in a red suit. It's talking about these devils, these so-called white people, these Edomites that are going to be casting us into prison. These FEMA camps, man. That ye may be tried. Right? You ain't teaching this, man. And ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So even, you know, this time period, it's not talking about just 10 days. It's going to be a short amount of time before they're going to make a decision what they're going to do with you. They're going to try to make you, they're going to try to break you, make you take the sihip. Okay? And the thing is, for us that continue in the faith, that continue to be patient, this is what the Lord said you're going to do for us, man. This is Revelation chapter 3, verse 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, right? I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation. The Lord going to put a special spirit upon us not to accept it. To endure the tribulation of that, to suffer those things, man. While you're locked up. But you ain't teaching them. You ain't exhorting them. You ain't setting up that hedge around them in the spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shai. You prophesying out of your own heart about what you want to say with your attention, so you can get some money, some lucre, filthy lucre's sake, man. All right. I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. So the Lord going to put a special spirit upon those men that are going to be thrown in these FEMA camps, man. Are you teaching them this? Are you getting them ready? Which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Because every man is going to be tried upon this earth. And you false prophets, you're going to fail. You're going to tell your congregation, because you ain't speaking about the MOTB, about what it is. You don't tell them, hey, it's okay to take it, the MOTB is sin. It's not the RFID chip. It's not the NFC chip. That's the device that we need to use in order for you to, live every day. You got to live. You false prophets are full of shit, man. And when that day comes where you be able not be able to buy or sell, save he that had that mark, you're going to have to answer your congregation, man. You're going to have to answer to that congregation. And guess what? You're going to be exposed in these last days that are come, man. You false prophets, man. That are not teaching about what's to come. Because these FEMA camps are real. In World War II, what do you think was going on? The scriptures say the second war is past and the third one coming quickly. What do you think is about to happen? What do you think Rex 84 is about? Agenda 21. What do you think these things are about, man? Verse 11, behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast. For you brethren out there, and for some of you humble sisters, hold fast to what you have. This wisdom, knowledge, and understanding is going to be that which is going to keep us, all right, from this hour of temptation, man. Through the Spirit and the power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. We got to hold on to this truth with our dear life, onto the names of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Call upon Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Rebuke Satan in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right? That no man take that crown. Because we got the victory. It's that we just got to endure to the end. We got the secrets. We got the names of Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. Yahweh being the Heavenly Father's name. It's not Yahweh. It's not God. God is a Greek title meaning power. Okay, our Lord's real name is Yahweh Shai. It's not Jesus. Jesus, the J didn't come about 400 years ago. Okay? A man that spoke Hebrew. Lashwan Kadash, the Paleo Hebrew. He had a Hebrew name. It ain't Jesus. It ain't Emmanuel. Emmanuel is just a title. Meaning what? The Lord's with us. Why? Because he sent his only begotten son. It's not Yahushua, which is Yiddish Hebrew. Same thing with Yahweh, Yiddish Hebrew. You just put some German literature and then put some Hebrew fucking alphabet over it. Just like the Koine Greek, that's not the original Greek from the Japhetic people that were the original Greeks. All right. So, Khan, hey, Lord willing, this is edifying. Watch and pray. Mark those that speak contrary to these words, man. Understand, man, there's going to be false prophets out there, but guess what? We got this truth, man. We got to hold on to it, man. And you false prophets, man, soon the Lord is going to deal with you, man. You're going to have to answer for not speaking accordingly. Because this thing of ours is deadly serious, man. And you're out here for fucking lucres, for fucking money, man. For money to be seen of men, okay? Meanwhile, this is about Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. So with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai B'Hashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the other apostles of great millstone that teach you well. Peace and salutations to the elect that are scattered abroad on four winds. Shalom Akim.